Alrighty, everybody. Welcome to the game. My name is Joe, and we're just going to jump right in here. So my opponent leads off with the standard E4. We'll do the E5 response. I've been playing a lot of these 10+5 games lately. They just seem to fit into how I like to play. We'll see if my opponent captures here. This is one of the few times when if your opponent captures, you capture back away from the center. My opponent chose not to capture. Now, I could capture here. I just can't remember if that's a good idea or not. I don't play enough of this line to know if this is a good idea or not. For some reason, I feel like it's a bad idea. Let me see here. What's so bad about this? Still defended. All right, so we're already in an awkward position. Like I said, normally I don't go for this capture, but I figure what the heck, we'll give it a shot. Something different, something I don't normally do. So I already know that from my standpoint, I am behind the 8 ball, right? I don't know this position. I'm sure I've played it maybe, before, but my memory is not good enough to remember exactly what. So here we are trying to see what's what. Now, something like this comes, it does mean I lose castling privileges. Oh, and my knight is still pinned. That's why you don't do this. Because I'm going to lose castling privileges. So, well, we're back even in material. We'll just push past and solidify this. Surely this can't go wrong, right? Next stop would be to get castled, so I can get out from underneath this pin. I'm debating on doing a fianchetto here. Why? Because, well, I've got one attacker. I could have two attackers. I don't think that's necessary if I just develop my bishop normally, right? Something like c5 or something, or I can tuck it and hide away if I need to. Just develop my bishop normally, castle, and then the rook, which will be here, slide the rook under. That's an option as well. I'm sure this is a bad move. I feel like it is. I just can't position why. Tell you why. My opponent's next moves, they could always capture. There's always something, I guess, like this. I don't know. Go ahead and keep developing like we said we would. So now captures back. Again, well, I could castle now, and then we trade queens. Get the knights off the board. So the experts tell us that as the longer the game gets, the bishops become stronger and stronger because as the board opens up, they get more and more range, right? They can see a lot more of the board. Which means keeping the knights on the board weakens your opponent, right? So my opponent's knights are weaker than their bishops as we near the end game. The only negative to that is knight forks can be devastating. You get forked by a knight, it really can completely change the game in a bad way. So I find for my sanity, I like getting the knights off the board. Yes, it does mean that I'm playing against bishop pairs more often than not. And it's something that I have to learn to deal with. But a couple options here. Number one, I could bring the bishop back. I don't want to. Let me just develop the... I am now ready to push my b pawn to chase this bishop away. In any event, so yes, I prefer getting the knights off the board so that as the late game develops, I don't end up in a position where I get forked and lose the game in a crucial moment. I think next move is to go ahead and I got to be really careful because I'm aligning my queen and my rook under this bishop. Let's go ahead and push the bishop back first and then develop the rook. My opponent's next the most likely moves. Could rotate the knight around. Nah. I have to be careful because my bishop is undefended here. So it might be time to rotate it back and hide it away. My opponent now has an extra attacker on this pawn. So it looks like I'm probably going to drop this pawn. Okay, so there's a lot happening right now. Captures, I can't capture back, right? Because defended. So captures, which means my knight is under attack. If I want to use that knight to capture this pawn here, that would leave that bishop eyeing up my rook. So I have to move my rook first. I've lost a pawn. Nothing I can do about it. That pawn's gone. I cannot. Yeah, I can. Yeah, I can. I say I can't move this rook, but yeah, I can because this is defended. I'm just debating on. So I've lost the pawn. We know we lost the pawn. Instead of trading queens, do I just slide my rook over, right? Slide the rook over, start attacking this pawn here. When my opponent captures, I capture back with the bishop, getting free development. I'm going to try it. Again, I am way outside my comfort zone here, but that's okay. We're just going to try it. Go ahead and pre-move that just in case. Yep, like that. Now I have developed and defended my knight. My knight is free to move. I've got two attackers. My opponent's got one defender. Oops. One defender. Currently, I own this pawn. Now, my opponent could easily defend it in a multitude of ways. This is actually a sneaky way to defend this pawn because bishop's undefended. How do I want to defend that bishop? Because captures, and then if my opponent captures back, right, capturing here, this is defended. That's risky. That's extra risky. Extra risky. So if I capture, and then my opponent captures, I'm down the knight. Then I capture back, he captures, I'm still down material. Because I'm losing both of these to my opponent's these. Not worth it. Okay, so we have to move the bishop somewhere. Realistically, I've got two spots I'm going to move it to. The idea being if I go here, then we're trading off bishops. I'm just not ready to do that. Now, I do have to be cautious of this. This pawn is pinned, so if my opponent pushes down, I could be in trouble, actually. No, I could just take back with the... This pawn is pinned, so I have to be careful. Something to keep in the back of your mind always. What's defending what's guarding what is under attack, and have to keep in mind this pawn is undefended. I mean, this pawn is pinned. This bishop is undefended. This knight is undefended. This bishop is undefended. So I've got some work to do. Now, I'm hoping to get rid of this knight pretty quickly. So that takes care of that. But let's say my opponent were to stick a rook down here. I have to be really careful that I don't end up hanging one of these bishops at the end of the day. The dream sequence. So the dream sequence would be capture, capture, rook up. And then my rook is attacking his bishop. I could slide my bishop, let's say something like this. And then I've got a double attack, my rook. And so now that is taken care of. Okay, so let's start defending things. Anything there? Start defending things. Let's just slide this back and get the bishop defended. Right, that's important. This bishop has also got to get defended. In fact, I need to consider sliding it down pretty quickly. Add a little defense here to the f pawn, maybe. This is defended. My knight is still not defended. Don't really know what to do with this knight. Don't know what to do with this knight. See, my opponent now has 1, 2 defenders. I have 2 attackers, and that's not enough to win material. Essentially, I would be giving up both of my attackers for these 2 pieces, and that's a downgrade. That is not something we want to do. Rotate it up and around. My opponent trades here. All right, that's not great, but I'll take it. We both have a bishop pair, so eliminating the bishop pair is helpful. So I've got doubled up, so I'm happy about that, right? That can't be a bad thing, can it? I do have to be careful though. I have back rank issues, so need to start figuring out what to do about our back rank. So if captures, then I capture, he captures, I capture back. I'm up material. I think this is okay. Because for this rook, he only has 1 defender. I have 2 attackers. So essentially that pawn is pinned. Now it is defended, so it's not going anywhere for a little while. Clever. So now I'm thinking I would like to get a bishop onto this diagonal or this diagonal. He's going to take this pawn with tempo. Still have back rank issues. Okay, I still have back rank issues because this pawn is defending. So this pawn is helping to create a barrier that I cannot break through. So I have to be very, very careful. Oh, I just hung a rook. And that comes with check. So my goal was to see if I could sneak this in. Can't. Problem is losing a full rook versus the trade down. So this is not even a sacrifice exchange with the hope to win another exchange. No. I'm just down. He can run this guy almost anywhere to save it. I'm gonna pick up a rook that he can recapture, and then I've got to swing back down here, defend this guy promoting. Otherwise, this comes with check. Get lucky here. So I'm still down in material, but it's only a piece and not a full rook. This pawn is a thorn in my side, but oh no. I just There she goes. So that is pretty much game. It's going to be almost impossible for me to figure out how to survive this. It's a pretty straightforward match for my opponent to. Check. That's it. That is GG. He's going to checkmate. Ding. As the king takes away these squares. Well, I guess I've still got this one available to me. Game over. GG to my opponent. Check. My only move is here or here. Takes opposition with the king. That's it. Now he's got complete victory. My opponent, GG, well played. So let's see where we screwed this guy up. It felt fine. Let's see right here. Is this a safe pawn to take? Yeah, the engine says it's okay. All right, so we took the pawn. The engine said it was okay, so we took the pawn. We did all right there. I guess I could have captured back. This guy's under threat. Yeah, I just don't like that position. Like it. I decided just to defend here. Then it turns out I didn't really want to defend anyway, so I lost the tempo there. I should have just got pushed straight forward. So I lost the tempo. Gave white a little bit of activity. Yep, just develop like normal, which we did. Yeah, the engine says just ignore that castle. And my opponent wasn't able to take advantage of the tempo because they moved it twice. So I guess, developing with tempo didn't really help them too much. Maybe I got away with that. And the engine is really not happy with these. Because yeah, but as soon as I did this, it basically forced my opponent into getting a free pawn. Ah, there's the move. Knight around. Yeah, I missed that. Knight around to add another defender. Wow. Wow, the engine hates. Oh, because my bishop's hanging. We both missed that. We both missed that. Wow, my bishop was just straight up hanging. Undefended bishop. Woo! So same thing, I had to lose a tempo because my opponent immediately attacked. So we're down essentially 1 to 2 points worth of material, 1.8 points of material. Not terrible. I mean, not the end of the world, right? This is a position that I should be able to hold. Pushing that pawn was pretty strong. Here's where it fell apart. Yep. Basically allowing this fork. What did I say earlier in the game? Knight forks kill me. Every time a knight, if there is a knight fork that exists, I've been hit by it. So, knight forks, man, just destroy me. Yeah, and this there's no way. I mean, you can see the massive tempo swing. 6 points of material. Very little I can do at this point in time. Get a little bit back, but it's just too little too late. Yeah, I mean, it's just too little too late. I didn't even think that. I mean, I said in the game, that I had to swing my rook back around, but I didn't think that this coming with check means they can immediately grab the rook. I saw this comes with check, but that's okay, I can hide underneath. I didn't even process the next step of that thought, which is, oh yeah, this is a fork. So we got knight forked and we got pawn forked. This game was pretty forked. Yeah, and at this point in time, I mean, it's game over. Realistically, anybody should resign at this moment in time out of respect for your opponent. I chose to play it out just because why not? We had plenty of time. But yeah, if I was playing someone that I know, if this was like an over the board tournament and I knew these players and I understood, that they could do it, that's fine. But who knows? Maybe you get lucky. Since I'm just playing randoms on the internet, I don't know these people. I don't know how they got to their ranking. I don't know their elo. So I just play them out. I always play them out because it teaches me things, right? It teaches me how to play endgames. So I play them out to try to see how other people play endgames, to see if there's any tricks that I can learn. Use it as an educational experience. But my opponent played this really well. If you watch how they played this endgame, this is actually pretty textbook stuff, right? His rook has boxed me in. Right, so the rook has boxed me in. The only thing else that he could have done essentially would be to use the knight to defend the rook, and then he could close the box a little smaller. But it's unnecessary, right? Like to maybe, obviously not here in this particular game, but if he could have gotten a knight to defend the rook, or maybe repositioned this knight somewhere. And something like that. But realistically, this knight, he doesn't even need this knight. You can checkmate with just a king and a rook. But yeah, he's got me. He demonstrated very good endgame technique, this player did. Boxed me in with the rook, and then brought the king over. Took opposition, and then forced me into checkmate. So really, there's nothing that I could do at this point in time. So he takes opposition, and now he closes the box down. Notice I cannot go this direction because the king is creating a wall. So I can only go to the back. And then from the back. Now, if his knight wasn't here, he would have immediately taken opposition, right? So if the knight's not here, he just comes in and takes opposition. That way, the only thing I can do is wiggle back and forth. In this case, I had other pieces I could use. This check, I think, was a little unnecessary. Oh, I see. They're saying he could slide the... This is not quite checkmate here. But this is, because... A few unnecessary moves here by my opponent. Reposition the knight out of the way. But now from here, he could simply take opposition. He decided to go this route, which is fine. Again, I can't move up the board anymore. So all I can do is hide in a corner. Forces me into opposition. Now I'm full back rank checkmate. GG, baby. So, good game to my opponent. My opponent played this really, really well. I allowed myself to fall into a knight fork, which just devastating. They're absolutely devastating. Yeah, I did not notice that. Well, that's not true. I said it that this is coming, but I didn't take the time to look one step further and realize, you know what? I can just eliminate that, and then I don't have to worry about it. The reason I didn't eliminate it was because I was worried about giving my opponent two connected pawns in the center of the board. I guess my C pawn could have defended that a little better, so maybe there's that. But I looked at capturing, and I saw that my opponent could just take back with a pawn. That pawn is defended, and then eventually he could drive down and have connected pawns in the center of the board. And I just didn't want to play that game. Oh well, this was a fun game. Not my best, but it demonstrates some of the exact kind of challenges that I face when I play, some of the things that I need to get better at. And I hope it gives you an example of what you can do when you're faced, when you kind of get out of your routine, you know, get out of your rhythm and you no longer know what to be doing. Just think them through, you know, take that extra step. Look at, oh, okay, yep, this comes with an immediate attack here. Why didn't I just slide a rook over here? Why would I stop short? You know, why did I move to rook to d1? Why not move rook to c1? Still comes with its own set of challenges. There's another knight fork. Hate knight forks, man. Blah. There's really no good way about it, is there? You just have to let the pawn go. Yeah, man, there's really not any good options here. Best option is just eliminating that knight. That's what I should have done. I really should have just eliminated that knight. Deal with the two connected pawns. Just kind of fight that fight. Nah. Yeah, this rook comes, and there's no rook there defend to get under attack. Well, alrighty, guys. That was a fun game. I appreciate you sticking around. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.